Friday, May 9th becomes a date that will haunt every corner of the Forrester, Logan, and Spencer worlds, a day whose very air seems charged with grief even before anyone fully understands why. In the aftermath of the previous afternoon's unexpected preemption for global news about the Pope, Los Angeles awakens to a kind of suspended animation yesterday's episode withheld. Emotions half frozen, revelations hanging like an unfinished sentence, yet nothing can delay sorrow forever. As the rescheduled broadcast finally unspools, the camera finds Liam Spencer alone in the dim hush of his bedroom in Bill's cliffside estate, thumbs hovering above the glowing screen of his phone. He types, deletes, and retypes a single stark plea, "Need to see you, Dad. Urgent," before hitting send and exhaling a breath that tastes like defeat. The weight of an inoperable brain tumor, discovered only hours earlier in the chaotic aftermath of his collapse at Bill's house, now presses down on him with merciless clarity. And the simple act of texting his father feels simultaneously like admitting weakness and acknowledging finality. Down the coast, across the sprawling Forrester mansion, Steffy Forrester paces a silent path between the ornate fireplace and the picture windows that frame a postcard bright morning, yet the sun's brilliance mocks her turmoil. She clutches her phone, replaying Liam's frantic collapse in her mind, the way his knees buckled, the frantic ambulance ride, the CT scan that became a verdict, the neurosurgeon's apologetic shake of the head. All night she has rehearsed the words she must speak, but none of them feel sufficient. When Hope Logan answers Steffy's summons and steps into the foyer, hope still flickers in her eyes after all. Why else would Steffy ask to meet if not to discuss co-parenting routines or the logistics of Liam's brief fainting spell? Steffy's voice, however, carries the quaver of irreversible reality. She tells Hope he is dying. At first Hope recoils, certain Steffy must be exaggerating. Liam has always rebounded, always found a way back from every cliff edge life hurled him over. Yet Steffy's insistence, raw and unvarnished, strips away denial. She explains the tumor's location, its tendrils woven deep into structures no scalpel can reach. The specialists' unanimous consensus that surgery is impossible, radiation futile, timelines cruelly brief. The words strike Hope like physical blows, each syllable driving the truth deeper until her breath fractures into sobs she cannot stifle. Her mind races to Beth, to Kelly, to every birthday candle yet unblown, every graduation cap yet tossed, every father-daughter dance Liam will never attend. She shakes her head, almost violently, whispering, "No, there has to be a plan. There has to be treatment." But Steffy's tear-glossed eyes tell her the plan is simply to brace for goodbye. Memories rush in, Liam teaching Beth to ride a bike on the gently sloping driveway. Liam braiding Kelly's hair with awkward patience, Liam's laugh echoing through the cabin on weekends filled with nothing but ordinary bliss. Each recollection becomes an arrow, and Hope feels them all make contact at once. She nearly staggers, nausea rolling through her as the enormity settles Liam Spencer, the man whose heartbeat has been a metronome in both their lives, is measuring his final hours. Steffy reaches for her, and the two women, so often destined to clash, fold into a single trembling embrace, shoulders shaking as tears soak silk blouses and mascara-stained skin. Words dissolve, grief speaks louder through shared silence. In that moment past resentments are meaningless, replaced by the primal terror of imagining daughters fatherless and futures amputated. Across town, Bill Spencer feels the vibration of Liam's text and for one heartbeat imagines it is another routine request for advice. Perhaps a plea to referee some inevitable conflict between Hope and Steffy. The illusion shatters as he reads the stark brevity of his son's message, each letter radiating urgency. A chill ripples beneath Bill's famously confident facade. He has built empires, weathered scandals, fought for sons and lovers with ruthless resolve. Yet the prospect of watching Liam wither beneath an indomitable diagnosis is a battlefield he cannot buy, bully, or blackmail his way out of. He grabs his keys, heart hammering. Already desperate for a strategy. But even as Bill races toward home, Liam is retreating inward behind a locked bedroom door, barricading himself from pity. He has listened to Steffy beg him to let people in, but the knowledge of finite minutes twists his protective instincts. Better to shield the ones he loves than force them to witness his decline. When Hope arrives, red-eyed and trembling, she bangs on the door, pleading. "I don't pity you, I love you, and love is not pity," she says, voice cracking. Inside, Liam stares at the door's grain. Hand resting on the knob, wrestling with two opposing fears. If he opens it, he will see the pain mirrored in Hope's eyes, and it will destroy him. If he does not, he will leave her with nothing but a slab of wood and the echo of regret. The walls feel closer, the diagnosis louder. He remains silent. Hope presses her forehead to the door, tears dripping onto the oak paneling, and whispers of their history fill the corridor. Their first kiss beneath strings of cafe lights, the birth of their children. Every reconciliation and fracture that led them here. Desperation fuels her next move. She drives to the cabin, scoops Beth wide-eyed and clutching a stuffed bunny into her arms, and returns to Bill's estate. Mother and daughter stand before that same door, and Beth's small voice slips through the keyhole. "Daddy, it's me. I drew you a picture." The knob trembles. Liam's resolve fractures because fatherhood has always been the axis of his world, stronger than fear, stronger than pride. The door opens a crack, then wider, revealing a man whose brave smile wobbles as he kneels to gather Beth close, inhaling the scent of crayons and childhood innocence he now understands is heartbreakingly temporary. Hope steps forward. But Liam's tear-brimmed eyes warn her to keep even the gentlest sympathy muted. He cannot bear to see condolences shape her features. She bites her lip, nodding, communicating without words that she will follow his lead, whatever that may be. Day drifts toward dusk in a blur of whispered stories and hushed footsteps. Upstairs, Liam tapes Beth's drawing a stick-figure family beneath a blazing sun above his headboard, silent promise that love endures beyond mortality. Downstairs, Steffy briefs Ridge and Taylor on every medical detail, her voice steady despite fresh tears carving trails down her cheeks. The Forrester patriarch, so often granite solid, folds under the weight, haunted by memories of Phoebe's loss and determined not to bury another child's future. He vows to scour the globe for experimental trials, but Steffy has already placed those calls and met the same unforgiving conclusion. There is no miracle waiting in the wings. Meanwhile, Bill arrives, storming past staff with single-minded purpose, only to find Liam resting against the banister, Beth asleep in his arms. Father and son lock eyes, and the vulnerability in Liam's expression guts Bill more than any business betrayal ever could. Bill forces a smile for Beth's sake, but the tremor in his jaw betrays him. The two men retreat to the study, leaving Hope to carry Beth to an upstairs guest room where the child will dream unknowing of the seismic shift in her world. Behind closed doors, Bill demands facts, demands options, demands someone to sue for malpractice, but Liam's calm is unsettling. He tells his father there will be no wars to wage, no hospitals to conquer, only time to savor. Bill's fists clench. The Titan utterly powerless, and he finally breaks, shoulders shaking as he gathers his son in an embrace that is part apology, part benediction. Words like proud, sorry, love tumble out. And though Liam tries to reassure Bill, the tears they share speak louder. When they separate, Bill vows he will stand beside Liam until the final breath. Liam smiles gratefully but privately wonders if the final breath should happen alone to spare them all the agony of watching Hope extinguish. That thought haunts him as night swallows the coastline. Steffy and Hope, upstairs, sit shoulder to shoulder on the edge of a guest room bed, united not as rivals but as guardians of Liam's legacy. They map out the coming conversations with Kelly and Beth, each line of dialogue a shard of glass they will have to walk barefoot. How do you tell a little girl her father will not be there for graduations, weddings, or even next month's piano recital? How do you keep childhood afloat when the anchor is lifting? As they rehearse, the house sleeps fitfully. Liam, too wired for slumber, wanders to the deck and stares at the indifferent sweep of stars, every constellation a reminder of vastness, of how small one lifetime truly is. He recalls the blur of choices, mistakes, triumphs, every love triangle, every reconciliation, wondering if any of it will matter once he is memory. Out on the horizon the Pacific murmurs ancient lullabies, but tonight the ocean sounds like a countdown. A soft footfall behind him, Hope steps into the moonlight, eyes reflecting silver. She says nothing, merely slides her hand into his. He almost pulls away, the impulse to protect her from grief still strong. Yet the warmth of her palm reminds him that walls offer only the illusion of safety. They stand together until the chill seeps through thin layers of fabric. Then retreat indoors where Steffy waits with mugs of chamomile tea nobody drinks. Conversation circles around practicalities, medical power of attorney, pain management. Where Liam wants to spend his remaining days until words exhaust themselves. Eventually Hope curls on the sofa, Steffy claims an armchair, and Liam drapes a blanket over his shoulders in the corner. The three of them forming a silent vigil. Dawn creeps over Los Angeles in shades of pink. And with it arrives the first quiet acknowledgement that time is now measured not in months or weeks, but in memories still to be made. Liam wakes Beth with a gentle kiss, promising pancakes shaped like hearts, while Hope records the moment on her phone, determined to bottle every smile. Hours later, Kelly arrives with Amelia, bounding into her father's arms. The house, for a fleeting span, vibrates with laughter, Kelly giggling at syrup-sticky fingers, Beth proudly showing her sister the new drawing on the bedroom wall, Bill snapping candid photos. Steffy and Hope exchanging watery smiles as they realize each second counts double when counted in advance. Yet beneath the fragile joy lurks an undercurrent of dread. Every breath carries the echo. Will this be the last time? As evening approaches and Amelia leads Kelly to the car, the little girl clutches her father's hand and asks, "Will you be at my dance recital next month?" The question skewers every adult in earshot. Liam's voice wavers, but he promises he will watch her twirl even if he has to sit in the front row wearing the world's biggest smile. Hope swallows a sob. Steffy turns away to compose herself. Bill's hand grips Liam's shoulder in tacit support. When the house finally quiets, Liam returns to his room, exhaustion stalking him like a shadow. He closes the door, sinks onto the bed, and stares up at Beth's drawing. The vibrant sun, drawn by a 5-year-old's crayon fist, seems almost mocking in its optimism, yet something in its childish imperfection steadies him. He realizes love is not a shield against mortality, but it is the only antidote to fear. For the first time since the diagnosis, he allows himself to believe that goodbyes, though agonizing, can also be acts of grace, opportunities to leave nothing unsaid. To transform impending absence into a legacy of affection so potent it counteracts despair. He reaches for his phone and records a voice memo, speaking directly to Beth, then another for Kelly. Then one addressed to Hope and Steffy together, and finally one to his father. In these digital capsules he pours simple truths, favorite memories, lessons learned. Reminders that grief is love with nowhere to go. He finishes and listens back, tears sliding unchecked, but when he presses save, a fragile peace settles over him. Outside the bedroom door, footsteps pause, Hope checking if he needs anything. He speaks before she can knock. "I'm okay. Just living this minute." On the other side, she leans against the frame, whispers, "Me too," and walks away, trusting him to his solitude. Night deepens. Waves crash below the bluff. Somewhere medical charts sit unchanged. stubbornly declaring the same terminal prognosis. Yet within Bill Spencer's mansion an unspoken vow crystallizes. They will not surrender to sorrow until Liam's final heartbeat demands it. Until then, every sunrise will be greeted, every daughter's laughter amplified, every shared memory etched into collective consciousness. The road ahead is merciless, paved with hospital visits that cannot heal, pain that cannot be traded, and a farewell no one can rehearse without breaking. But in this fragile lull before decline, hope, Steffy and Bill discover unexpected unity. Rivals become allies, father becomes anchor, grief becomes a vessel for love. And Liam, once torn between households and destinies, finds clarity in goodbye. He will pass on not as a symbol of rivalry, but as a testament to the power of intertwined families who choose, in the face of impossible odds, to stand together beneath the same fading sunset. Where we track every charged heartbeat reverberating through Los Angeles. And today the spotlight narrows to a single relentless chain of moments that begins beneath the twinkle lights of Il Giardino and winds, taut and unbroken, toward the storm front gathering at the Cliff House. On the restaurant's shaded patio, Luna wipes frustration from her eyes, while Sheila, equal parts restless and calculating, rails against Steffy's ironclad decree that neither of them will set foot near John Finn Finnegan. Sheila's resentment crackles like static. She helped bring Finn into this world, she insists. And no rival, especially Steffy, has the right to keep mother and son apart. Yet Luna's ache eclipses even Sheila's fury because the stakes for her are existential. Every second barred from Finn is another second her delayed paternity truth withers on the vine. She pictures the memory of Finn's gentle eyes at the hospital, the way his puzzled compassion flickered when he first sensed their unexplained connection, and she cannot bear another dusk falling without at least trying to make him understand. Rising from the table in a single determined motion, Luna tells Sheila that complaining resolves nothing. Action is mandatory. She decides on the spot that she will go to her father, her real father. As her heart insists Finn is look him in the eye and force the conversation, Steffy keeps postponing. Sheila's smirk suggests both approval and amusement, but Luna barely notices. She is already plotting a route that avoids Steffy's watchful gatekeeping, already bracing for the confrontation that could reshape entire bloodlines. Meanwhile, high on the marble terrace of the Cliff House, Finn fits a stethoscope to Liam Spencer's chest, the rhythmic thump beneath reminding both men that time is a ruthless auditor. Liam's earlier fainting spell at Bill's estate rattles Finn as a physician and as a friend, and every flash of dizziness pushes diagnosis from troubling possibility toward looming certainty. Liam tries to crack a joke about hypochondria, but the humor clatters to the floor unclaimed. Finn's clinical instructions hide a brotherly urgency. Tell Hope, tell Bill, tell the girls. Keeping silent, he warns, is a kindness that metastasizes into cruelty once reality finally ambushes those you love. Liam's jaw tightens. He despises pity, but fears the devastation of secrecy more. Yet his instinct to shield Hope and the children claws at his resolve. Finn presses again. There are only so many sunsets left. Don't waste them hoarding the truth, and when Liam's gaze finally falters, the doctor knows the message struck home. As Finn gathers his medical bag, Liam's phone buzzes. An Il Giardino push notification reminding him that comfort food awaits, or perhaps fate nudging him toward the next crossroads. Moments later, Liam texts his father a terse directive, meet me at Il Giardino. Need to talk, then thanks Finn with a rough sincerity that makes the doctor's chest ache. Outside, ocean mist curls across the driveway as Liam's taillights disappear and Finn exhales, hoping the next conversation between Liam and Bill will be honest enough to chase regret from their family's future. Traffic along Malibu Canyon proves mercifully light, giving Liam too much room to brood. At Il Giardino, he slips into a private booth, fights the urge to scroll old photos of Beth and Kelly, and instead rehearses words for Bill that refuse to form coherent shape. Every scenario ends with his father's anguish carved across that famously steely face. But he steels himself because Finn is right. Truth delayed becomes poison. He orders nothing, appetite devoured by dread, and waits for the inevitable sound of Bill Spencer's purposeful footsteps. Across town at the Cliff House, silence reigns until Steffy's SUV backs down the driveway, racing toward an impromptu design meeting that keeps her alibi intact. Luna watches the taillights vanish from a vantage point beneath cypress branches, adrenaline mixing with trepidation. She verifies Steffy is truly gone. Then circles to a side entrance Finn often leaves unlocked for courier deliveries. The door yields under her tentative push, and she steps into a living room bathed in amber afternoon light. The very room where family portraits of Steffy, Finn, and the children beam from mantel and bookshelf. The presence of those images only sharpens her sense of exile. She inhales, summoning courage. Finn emerges from the hallway, startled to find Luna framed against the window. His first instinct is flight. Steffy will be livid if she discovers Luna here, but she intercepts his path. Voice trembling yet unwavering. She tells him she misses him with a ferocity that strips pretense, that every night she dreams of a future where a father does not turn his back on his daughter. And that she believes the man who once revived his own wife with hands and love cannot possibly abandon new flesh and blood. Finn's defenses, forged by weeks of Steffy's adamant warnings, rattle under the emotional artillery. He stammers about boundaries, about timing, but Luna presses on, painting word pictures of what their bond could become. A father teaching his daughter to surf the Pacific swells at sunrise, a physician guiding her through medical school applications, a man of integrity modeling compassion so she never questions her worth. Each vision lands like a tremor inside Finn's chest because he can taste the truth in her certainty. Feel the gravitational pull of biology that has nagged since their first encounter. Yet loyalty to Steffy tangles with newfound paternal stirrings, and the room suffocates under conflicting vows. Finn begs Luna to leave before Steffy returns. Luna shakes her head, eyes glassy, pleading for just 10 minutes, for acknowledgement, for the first step toward belonging. He rubs exhaustion from his temples, realizing no solution will leave every heart unscarred. While tension crescendos at the Cliff House, Illinois Giardino fills with the low hum of early dinner service. Bill storms in, energy-coiled, scanning for the son whose summons sounded like a corporate emergency but felt, in its brevity, more like a farewell. Liam rises, gestures to a table sheltered by potted palms, and when they sit Bill notices the pallor in his son's cheeks. Conversation begins with small talk company numbers. Wyatt's latest brainstorm until Liam's voice fractures. He recounts the dizzy incidents, the scans, the tumor. Bill's world narrows to the point of a needle, air gone. Heart pounding in his eardrums louder than any nightclub bassline. Yet as the shock detonates, Liam continues, explaining Finn's advice. Confessing his paralyzing fear of crushing Hope's optimism and Beth's innocence. He needs Bill's counsel not as Dollar Bill the mogul, but as dad who once fought the universe to keep his son alive. Bill, blinking tears he will deny later, clasps Liam's shoulder and vows they will face the prognosis, like every other storm head-on. Spencer strong. Inside the patriarch a plan already forms. Second opinions, European researchers, experimental trials in Zurich or Tokyo, donations to clinics if it buys alternative protocols. But Liam, remembering Finn's stark prognosis, grips Bill's hand and begs him to balance battle tactics with moments that matter now. Sunset sails with Beth, bedtime stories for Kelly. Candid laughter with Hope, because time might ignore even Spencer tenacity. The plea humbles Bill. He nods, promising to wage dual campaigns, one for a cure and one for memory-making, neither overshadowing the other. Back at the Cliff House, Luna and Finn hover in a limbo of almost truths. He admits the genetic test kit sitting unopened in his desk drawer. Admits the clock ticking on a decision that could redraw their entire family map, but he also confesses fear of destabilizing Steffy. Fear of Sheila's glee should this paternity shift enhance her leverage, fear of failing as a father the moment he claims the title. Luna steps closer, rests a tentative hand over his heart, and whispers that love rarely offers guarantees yet still redeems itself in the attempt. Finn hears his pulse thrum beneath her touch and imagines the two heartbeats sinking if he simply lets them. But car tires crunch gravel outside, Steffy's dreaded return, and panic flares. He ushers Luna toward the back exit, promising they will talk again. That the door isn't closed even if tonight's conversation must pause. Luna, tears slipping down her cheeks, leaves a small shell bracelet, an artifact of her childhood vacations she never shared with anyone, on the sofa as silent evidence she was here and is not giving up. She vanishes through the kitchen just as Steffy enters the foyer, arms full of fabric samples. Finn's expression telegraphs turmoil, and Steffy's eyes narrow as she surveys the room, intuition pricking. She spots the bracelet, an object foreign to this house, and suspicion ignites. Questions flood faster than Finn can craft answers, and though he deflects, she already senses the lie. Night blankets the city. Bill drops Liam at the cabin where fireflies dance among pine shadows and Hope waits on the porch, anxiety etched across her silhouette. Bill stays long enough to hug her, to murmur that they will face this together, then drives off, leaving mother and daughters to shepherd Liam across another threshold of revelation. At the Cliff House, Steffy confronts Finn with the bracelet in one hand and decades-deep abandonment fears clenched in the other. He starts to explain, voice soft. But Steffy's anger and hurt cover every surface, demanding, why was Luna here? Why was I shut out? What secret grows large enough to risk our marriage? Across town, Luna stands alone on a moonlit overlook, the ocean roaring approval for her daring and condemnation for the chaos it triggered. She hugs herself against cold air and whispers that tomorrow she will try again because love that could have been denied for a lifetime does not surrender after a single shattering day. And somewhere between those twin fault lines, Steffy's fury and Luna's determination, Finn feels reality fissure. On one side lies the orderly life he promised Steffy, on the other, the raw, immense possibility of embracing the daughter he never knew existed. His decision, once theoretical, now arrives with siren urgency, and the night yields no hint which path he will follow. Only that whichever he chooses will remake every alliance across the Forrester, Logan, and Spencer dynasties in ways none of them